He leans over to one of the biggest enemies that we've got, and he says, tell Vlad I'll have a lot more leeway to do what we want to do, basically, once I'm reelected. This is what's called treason. And this is joining up forces with the enemy. We are repulsed by it. And every time I lean over to myself and say, you've got a right to be angry at that person, hold on to it, I'm committing treason. I'm agreeing with the enemy of my soul. Back to 2 Corinthians 10, folks. Though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. Folks, how do we in our lives deal with the expectations, unanswered expectations from the people in our lives? How do we answer those things? How do we deal with the expectations that we have of the way somebody should be acting or etc.? I'll tell you how we deal with it in the flesh. Almost invariably, we will deal with it in the flesh. And by that, I mean we try to fix it in our own power. How do we do that? It's called anger, bitterness, unforgiveness. There's all sorts of names we can put onto it, but it all comes out the same. Thinking of things in terms of that, we as Christians walk in the flesh trying to fix the things around us. We as Christians walk in the flesh, and the equivalent of that, walking in the flesh, is trying to get things fixed by my power, by my anger, by my pushing on the person or griping at the person or fussing at the, whatever it may be, or not talking to the person. It's all these different things that we do at others. These things are fleshly. And used to, when I would be doing men's conferences, I would be talking about anger and the way we husbands try to repair our poor wives. I would ask, okay, gentlemen, now y'all help me out here. How many of you, in the middle of any argument you've ever had with your wife, how many of you have had your wife suddenly stop and go, because we guys are going, look, logically, here it is. And she's going, emotionally, here it is. We're talking long, and I've asked, how many of you have had your wife suddenly stop and go, honey, I don't know what came over me. Your logic is impeccable. Okay, I give up. It's done. And of course, that's except the laughter is usually much deeper and whoa, and it's everywhere because they all know it didn't work. But guess what? They'll go home and do it again. Doesn't work. Because James tells us the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. The anger of fathers, the anger of husbands, the anger of children, the anger of wives does not achieve the righteousness of God. Hold what you have in 2 Corinthians, and let's turn to Galatians at a list that we will look at for over and over again because it's such a useful little list. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Galatians 5:19. Now, the deeds of expectations, the deeds of unforgiveness, the deeds of anger, the deeds of the flesh are evident. Immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorceries, enmities, strife, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, carousing. We are doing these deeds and we're planting these seeds. And we're shocked when this comes up in our life. We're warned. This is the book. This is the handbook to life. It's not life. It's the handbook that takes us to life. But we look at it and go, oh, that doesn't matter to me. Back to 2 Corinthians again. If the weapons of our warfare, verse 4, are not of the flesh, but are divinely powerful for the destruction of fortresses, and we are destroying speculations and lofty things raised up against the knowing of God, why am I having a problem getting to know God? Why is there such great struggle in meditation? Why do I struggle when I pray? Why is my family having so many issues? What's going on? And here we're going to kind of shift over and talk a little bit about prayer. We're going to really shift gears. A few minutes ago, we were talking about our entanglement in the things of the world. We entangle ourselves in lofty things. What are those lofty things? It's our own personal Tower of Babel, because it's babbling. It's dreams and expectations we have for our life. My life has got to be this way. Your life will not be that way. You rarely, even in business, do you see people come up with a plan and it works the way that they think it's going to work. You better get ready for constant change and the fallenness of everything around you and the fallenness of the people around you. But the fallenness of you. We are priests. This is one of the things that why do we push and press this so much? As a priest, we are to be separate. I mean, you think about it. I remember one of the most offensive things that the press didn't cover was the day leaned over, and it was on film, filmed it, and he is saying to the Russian ambassador, tell Vlad that I'll destroy the country, basically. I mean, tell Vlad that after I'm elected the second time through, I'll have more leeway. Why? Because he doesn't have to worry about being elected again. By the way, it came out yesterday. You've got to be ready for this one. Taking credit for the economy. That was, I'm telling you, I usually don't get it, but my reaction was that. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. So remember where economy started. Was that with the speech where he said, nothing will ever change. This is the way it is now. What's he going to do? Wave a magic wand? Somebody waved something and it wasn't you. Anyway, he leans over to one of the biggest enemies that we've got, and he says, tell Vlad I'll have a lot more leeway to do what we want to do, basically, once I'm reelected. This is called treason. This is what it's called, treason. And this is joining up forces with the enemy. We are repulsed by that. And every time I lean over to myself and say, you've got a right to be angry at that person, hold on to it, I'm committing treason. I'm agreeing with the enemy of my soul. I'm agreeing with the enemy of the souls of the people around me that they deserve to be hated. They need to die. And I'm somebody that's supposed to be walking as a Christian. I know in my own life that I have found so often the problems that I keep thinking I have. I want to blame them on somebody else. I have this problem. It's this person, but no, it's the I that have the problem. There are entire movements that are based on, they call them holiness movements. Holiness, that usually measured in pounds of hair on top of women's heads. How holy are you? I don't know. I have to look at the women in the church who are not allowed to speak. I can't derail on that one. We'll talk about that later on. But God, as I said earlier, God is called love 2 times in the Bible, and I believe it's over 600 times in the Bible. Maybe it's only 300, but still we're talking hundreds of times that he's called holy. Stop trying to take the things of the law and make that equate to holiness. That's not holiness. Holiness is not how squeaky clean you are. Holiness means one thing. You'll watch theologians. I've watched them. Now, it doesn't really mean this, and so it means this, and their favorite word, metanomically, and It means one thing, separate. God is separate from the cosmos, from the world's system. And I am supposed to be separate from that cosmos, from this world's system. There are a lot of different things. Years ago, R.C. Sproul came to Austin. I was innocently working for Social Security Disability, and my phone rang, and it was Mrs. Davis, and she had been listening to the radio, and she said, "Hey, there's this guy named R.C. Sproul." I'd never heard of him. Okay, and he's coming to Austin, and he's this great, very wide-known speaker. Okay, he's going to be talking about holiness. All the air went out of the balloon. Oh, that's good. You can write me a letter and let me know how things went. Oh, holiness. Just stick me with some long mesquite thorn and just leave it in there for a while. You've got to be kidding. Because my idea was, we're going to pile all these. Here's all the rules. Because I knew what the holiness movement, but of course that's not what he talked about. He talked about the separateness of God. But in all the teachings on holiness through the years that we've heard, God began to move on us on looking at what is the purpose of holiness? What is the purpose of holiness? He began to show it to me, and I'll tell you what happened in my life. Very early days of IMI, Mrs. Davis and I, we were the staff. I was the maintenance. I was the bookkeeper. I was all sorts of things. It was great fun. I would have to take off from work a week, and I would come and go down in the old bunkhouse down there, which is half the size it was, or it is now, but I would pile papers all around me, and I'm doing bookkeeping. There's all sorts of things that we teach here: history, natural history, logic, etc. We don't teach math, and there's a reason for it.
Amen, boy.
I'm piled around all of this stuff. And down there, and I'm alone, and I'm working on stuff that's not any fun anyway. And this thought came wandering into my brain. You can have this lustful thought. And the next thing I thought was, I've not had that thought in a while. I could just stop and think that thought. Yeah. And the Lord spoke, and he spoke rather loudly. He said, stop it right now. That shouldn't be undue, although he usually doesn't, you have to admit, he doesn't do it often. But what he said is what stunned me. He said, you had been praying for these people in your life and family that are lost and that are not walking with the Lord. And you've been believing me to do something about it. How do you know that it is not this second that I have decided and chosen, this is when I shall visit them, this is when I'm going to pull them out, and you are taking a bath in the cesspool? I thought, that doesn't fit my theology, but something fit because I hit my knees. I said, oh, what have I done? What have I done? I couldn't believe. And I couldn't believe. I knew it was the Lord's voice speaking. But I thought, wait a second. Jesus paid it all. You ever sung that song? That is one of the biggest lullabies in the church. I don't mean it by it's just somehow how they sing it. All to him I snore. It's something about that song. And we believe it. Jesus paid it all. It's all taken care of. It's all done. They will look at you in the face and go, no. You don't have to do anything. You can be lazy, and it is Jesus. It's God's grace. And if you dare say anything about the law or the way we're supposed to be acting or whatever it is, why, you're being legalistic. Because he did it all. Except that's not what the Bible says. If you would turn with me to the book of Colossians. If you got a King James, it's going to read a little different, but it says the same thing. Paul is speaking, giving greetings, and he's talking about verse 13. Wow, look at this. He rescued us from the domain of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. In whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. By him all things were created, both in the heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. Now I want to stop for just a second right there and let you know something. That may be slightly talking about human government, but most of the time when Paul is using these words, that's not what he's talking about. And so I want to stop on that. The Lord, I think, is wanting to say something about this before we get to the end of this story. Nowhere, because I want to talk about the enemy for a few minutes. Nowhere does the Bible say that demons are fallen angels. It's not there. I picked up a book, it's a good while back, and it was this guy, supposedly he's an expert on these things. And I had looked ahead in something because, just trying to looking for some particular information. And he said, now we showed in chapter 3 that demons are fallen angels. I thought, really? I want to see. So I turned back to find out where his proof was. And I found it because he said so. There's no biblical, nothing. He just said, now demons are fallen angels. I'm looking through chapter 3, trying to find something that actually backs up his opinion. And it's not there. It was just his opinion. I was supposed to accept it, which I do not. Nowhere does it say that demons are fallen angels. I know that we're supposed to believe that, but I don't believe it's so. The reason is because angels, we read, are much more powerful than you. They are much more powerful. And for you to be owned by an angel, and there's a lot of other scriptures we absolutely don't have time to go through that show this. Angels, they may be, demons may be fallen angels, but I don't think so. Demons are very limited in their power. You basically kind of have to invite them in. Now, there's ways that you can do it. We've already talked about one this morning. It's called unforgiveness. We're going to talk about that before it's over here this morning, I hope, because this is incredibly important.